Yeah, good morning, South Africa, and good morning, the rest of the world. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Now, this is Carol Matebula, watching my country making fool out of themselves. I mean, yeah, I'm worried about South Africa. South Africa, it seems like you have no your personality of your own. You're stupid. I mean, um, um, the world that you are trying to copy, they can't deal with this corona thing themselves. They are panicking. People have died in thousands, and you only have two people who have died because of this corona thing, and you trying to be the best ones. Okay, now let's put people on lockdown. And you're using the cops. I mean, you're using the soldiers to deal with people. I mean, this for me, it's a lack of respect of your own people's spirituality and people of the continent of Africa. They are the leaders of this of the soul. They live on their soul. They live on being respected when it comes to spirituality. Yes, the world might talk about poverty. The world might talk about that we do not have financial strategies and the world, the fake man-made world that roams this world, that creates this stupid chaos. You have no clue what's going on with this coronavirus thing. We, the Africans who are here, especially those who are very, very connected with the spiritual basis of our ancestors, lots of you don't know. So I play. I really, really. When I get frustrated, my tongue gets big. I don't even know how to express myself clearly. The fact of South Africa enforcing the poor people. What I'm seeing, it's you stupid reporters, the puppets of the Western world in the media. You are going into the poor people who have never even seen what Italy smells like, who have never seen what China smells like. And those are the people that, as I'm watching, because I'm following this news of yours, you are showcasing the areas that are poor. You are showcasing the areas of people who are struggling on a daily already. You are enforcing rules on them. These are the people that I'm seeing. You are closing their small their spaza shops are open, and only one little spaza shop. I follow it every day to see what this thing is. And of course, they say that it is something that it moves from one person to another. Now, you can only get closer to it if you are being with people who have been in countries who were affected by this nonsense. And since this thing started, I've been so proud and say my country, it's not dealing with this nonsense. My country, it's not going into this fever of this nonsense coronavirus. And suddenly, boom, Cyril Ramaphosa standing there like a puppet, really, really big puppet, as if he's always in a deep, stupid meditation of some sort, that he does not even address his own people in their own languages. Man, stop this shit. Stop this shit, as African leaders. You have no characters of your own, and this way, this is how you put your people in danger. Wake up and deal. You can never deal with the situation of people's life if that's what you think, that you are trying to deal with them to protect them, that they don't get corona. Okay, what we're gonna do, we are gonna go and I'm gonna speak English with the soldiers. I mean, that it's like really dictatorship. There's something going on. People's freedom has been taken away. We're all over the world, including in Europe, but we do not have soldiers dictating stuff, and they're showing everyone. What I'm seeing, it is stupid news that are showing the most vulnerable parts of the country, people who are already very vulnerable. that has you as a government, you don't even know how they live their lives. And suddenly you've got a fashionable thing to now make yourself a better president. Or I'm going to deal with this thing as the rest of my friends are dealing with it. Yes. Okay. Yesterday I saw, what's his name? Donald Trump mentioning all the leaders who they were talking about this. And then you, Cyril Ramaphosa, you're one of them. And suddenly, after this news, I see you now get it in the middle of the night without in the face of the people. Instead of you gathering in the stadium, and oh, of course, probably that it can't be done. I'm sorry. Or I don't know. I'm not in South Africa to really, really go deep into this. But what I'm saying is that the way you're dealing with it, it's lacking respect of our spirits. If we are not well, you need to speak to people in a right manner. The fact that you're standing there and people are still buying their food, and you're seeing, once again, since I've been in Europe now for over 18 years, what I'm seeing is that always when I see the news of a fashionable nonsense whatsoever, Africa is always seen as a stupid continent that has no clue. Of course, they don't have a clue of this stupid corona, and corona, it's not their story. I, living in Belgium, the moment this thing started, of this stupid story of we call corona, I experienced lots of things that today even still puzzles us, those who are locked in. Sometimes, for weeks now, the air has been very different. The air, sometimes you sleep in the night and you can feel the air, where we had to take some towels sometimes and put it in our noses so we can breathe. And I don't know if this is going to put me in trouble. Who fucking gives a fuck? At this moment, I'm really, really pissed off because of we dealing with something that we don't even know ourselves what it is. I, on the other hand, for me going through this corona thing, I thought self-isolate. I haven't seen anyone now for since this thing started. No one except the people I live with. And the people I live with, we only go to the shop and pick up some stuff and make sure that everything. But even on top of that, you come home, you go to sleep in the night, and you start struggling with breathing things. I mean, it's just very, very strange. And do I think I have a corona? I don't think so. And do I think that I'm gonna die? I definitely hell no. I don't think so. There's just something wrong in the air. The beds. I spoke the other day about beds. There used to be this beautiful bed, small beds that flies around the garden where I live, because we are surrounded with lots of trees and there's lots of flowers. So especially at this time in the in springtime, it's coming. So these beds are all over the place celebrating the rebirth of Mother Nature. You see none of those. So while you're dealing with this thing in Africa, remember, find out, talk with the health professionals, speak with the traditional healers. This is what I want to see. I want to see the traditionals gather together, and whereby this is put on the news so we can see. I'm so sorry. And in terms of you following, oh, China has made it, or we don't know if China has made it. There is always a story behind a story. I realized recently that China, for them to change the narratives of people, they had to stop now showcasing what's happening. And that's a dictatorship. So, and everybody thinks, oh, China has control. How do we know that China has control? And this is where all these things started. We don't know what is this. We really don't know. What I'm just saying to you, South Africa, is that I would like you to respect our spirits. I would like you to deal with the people in the country, because you're going to have blood in your hands. You are. Yesterday there was a death for the first time after you started listening to the stupid leaders. Of course, you lose the life. Of course, you lose the life. And today there's another one. There's only 2 people who have died. Why panic? Why panic? those 9 people in China and saying, yes, they are quarantined. Yes, yes, we have done the check. I'm really sorry. And suddenly, boom, the blast opens up. Weapons, it comes in many ways. Warfare comes in many ways. And it can only come and detect those who are vulnerable in terms of leadership. And I think Africa, it's very vulnerable when it comes to leadership. You always listen outside instead of creating your own. You've got mountains where the West does not have, where you can maybe build tents far away from the city and gather people there. You know, it does not matter where. Just find different ways of dealing with these things. And of course, you do not have financials in of when it comes to doing this thing, the Western world, the Western way. They went and buy shops and people, it's only now they're buying, and then you're showing that you're actually taking the vulnerability of the society. That's what you take it and make it the world news. That okay, it's only now we went to what do you call those stupid areas that are completely, you have no control over them. This kloof, there's a lot of horrible things that are happening there. And you, the government, you, the stupid South African government, you never go there and find out on how to deal with the issues of that this kloof. Women are being raped. Often there, it's the biggest, highest rape place on in South Africa, and I don't hear the news of the government saying now we're going to go into this kloof and send the soldiers there and to make sure that we monitor things for few months so that women are protected. And suddenly there's a corona because of you want to be in a fashionable way of being the president who's on fashion. Suddenly you send soldiers into these areas, which has nothing to do with South African story. Corona, it's not our story. 2 people have died in Corona world. And these dying people are not in Africa, they are in the Western world. Mm. I'm just really frustrated and I feel like crying a little bit because for me, this is like history repeating itself. I remember in the 90s, 1991, 1992, when this HIV and AIDS started. What happened? It was scarcity. We people came on TV. Oh, one day when you are 35, you won't be able to see your life because of you're gonna have you're gonna have HIV, and people didn't know what this HIV was about. And what they did first, they started with putting fear in the minds of the people. And I remember myself then, I think I was about 20, 1991, I was about 20 years old, and I was terrified, thinking, my God, what is this HIV and AIDS? Maybe when I reach that, and this is exactly what you're doing. Do not follow the West. You have a control over this coronavirus thing. For months, it hasn't attacked you, and suddenly it's there. There's a lot of things that are happening in the world that we don't know about. You leaders get it together and plan our lives and think that by planning our lives, you can come. Ziphi inyanga. Kilabona, di kae disangoma, re batla disangoma. Those are the people who will be able to deal with this problem. Dingaka, disangoma. Inyanga. I need to see that. And this is going to be, I'm already watching South Africa. I'm watching South Africa in a way of failing forward. You're not succeeding forward, you're failing forward because you are doing it the way the West is doing. And the West is not having control over coronavirus. I wonder who's in control of you. I see the media and I see the Minister of Health wearing his jacket. He's a minister and he's doing this ministry shit that has completely nothing to do with the rest of the world. You live in your own boxes, and then in those boxes, you then think about your community from the boxes of those stupid cabinets of yours, where you're thinking, okay, we are the rulers of everyone. You're not the rulers of everyone. South Africa has no means of shutting down their chisanyama, of shutting down. And I think South Africa should say no to that. There are ways of dealing with this coronavirus the human way. Let people stay calm, speak to people in a respectful manner, find ways in putting more spaza shops in the townships. You can build this spaza shop in one township, and probably if you have three of them in one township, why don't you build at least 10 more spaza shop where people can go and buy? And then at least you make the queues a little bit lesser. You instead of making the people struggle when it comes to dealing with this while you're doing so-called presidential stories of yours, find ways to make the life of your people much easier by respecting them and by bringing their necessity closer to them, so that we don't see them standing there really, really lost, poor, beautiful people of my home because of this corona thing. There is more into the story than you think. And the people have no ways in finding out. And you are being controlling them with soldiers and cops and etc. For me, it's diminishing who they are. It's looking down on their health. What I want to see humbleness. I want to see you probably also talking to the people who are in health and well-being to try to calm the people's mind. Maybe this is a time that the world has to deal with things in a very gentle way of respecting the souls. Maybe our souls are crying. We don't know what is this corona thing. And it has no boundaries. Now, the fact that it has no boundaries, what I'm seeing here in the West, we are respected as we're dealing with this. Human beings are respected as we're dealing with this. You can see the leaders are afraid. They are doing their best to try to give answers to their people. And you can see their confidence tumbling down because of their trying to say to their people, we will do whatever. They are not in control. What I see in South Africa is a control bullshit and people not being honored. Remember, you are the messenger to the people. And you'll only succeed, South Africa, if numbers are not increasing. If numbers are increasing, you're already failing the people. It's only 2,000 people, 1,000 more infected. And those thousands, there's going to be more if you're dealing with it in this manner. So, South Africa, take your life in your own hands. I want to see the West. I want to see, because of, I truly believe that those who were infected were the Western South African white people. Those are the people who travel more than anybody in that country. But I see nothing of their news. As of course, with HIV and AIDS, we never see anything. I remember I went for HIV test in South Africa. That was 2010. And I met this beautiful sister of mine, and I did a test, and it was only me doing this test. And I asked her, how come there's not lots of people? And she said to me, Carol, this is really fascinating. When I work in the township, we get at least about 600 people infected daily in the township. But when I come to the city, sometimes I sit there in my office for days and days. And whenever people come, it's always negative, which is very ironic because of this. It's where lots of bad things happens when it comes to living lifestyle of people doing whatever that. Yeah, I can't really mention it so much. But what I'm trying to say is that there is more behind the stories. Let's watch. I think South Africa will find itself in more trouble because they have accepted coronavirus as their daily lifestyle. They have already accepted. Our presidents and leaders have taken corona as suddenly something that resides within their lives daily. And that world they talk about, they already knew about this coronavirus from 2012. And it was how do you say this again? I shared something on my post yesterday. If you go to my Facebook, you'd see this. I do lots of research, and I do not want to be the one who's thinking that there's conspiracy out there. The government wants to do that. I just do a research and things that I find most of them makes lots of sense. And these are people they're saying them, and I'm saying to myself that are we targeted at this moment as humans? Is this really, really the world control? Because of this, it has never been so big, human being controlled all over the world. So as we sit back in this controlling system that we have willingly agreed with it because of we thinking we're saving our lives, it is also important to rise our intelligence, to become a little bit more aware of how will we deal with this. Because and the thing that scares me is that they're shutting off the financial system. Everybody at this present moment is being affected financially. As I'm speaking to you right now, I can feel the air. I can't breathe. I have to I have to do my breathing patterns just to show you what I'm dealing with at this present moment, while you're thinking that one is affecting you. We're not enemies to one another. So I'm frustrated, as you can hear. This video of mine has no step by step. I'm just really worried about my country, and I say, South Africa, you will prevail. Because for me to deal with all this lack of breath situation, I deal with it the African way. I do my medicinal plants, which are here. I take some oil sometimes if I feel like my chest it gets tighter because of this air. I take, like yesterday. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna take some tissue. Yesterday, I was lying in my bed about to sleep, and suddenly the air pattern changed, and my nose. I felt as if my nose they've put lots of chili in my nose, and it was so chilly that I had to take olive oil or whatever oil it is that you have in your home and rub it around my nose and put this oil within my nozzles so that this oil can be able to take whatever that is, and only then I could sleep. And this morning I wake up and I feel like my face, all these things that I normally feel, I don't feel, even though I can feel from my air that there's something there. There's something in the air that I'm not used to. And my fellow friends, we agree with this. We are aware that there's something a little bit toxicness on air, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if somebody might say, Carol, she's crazy. She comes with all this. This is my experience, and I'm not sick. I don't have these temperatures they talk about. I've got myself. I'm just normal as me, but my environment it's not normal. So let us speak about our experiences, human beings. Let us share what we are dealing with in these lockdowns of ours. Because when we speak, we will be able to get down on this. Like at this moment, as I'm talking to you, I feel dizzy a little bit because the air, yesterday, I wanted, because I couldn't inside, it was so stuffy. And I thought to myself, let me go outside and get some air. I opened the door. There was a smell that I have never smelled since I lived in this country. And this has been the country I've lived in more than any of the countries in the world. And I have never smelled what I'm smelling. And so, Corona versus the unknown. We are told what's happening. We are told to be afraid of each other. We are told not to touch. And this is the best weapon ever to make human beings to be afraid of one another, to make human beings not to make financials. I think the West is yet to come. And South Africa, let the people deal with their economy. In here, the chisanyama, let them make their chisanyama and let them deliver to those who are buying. Do not cut off the financials of people, because after this nonsense, after these bars, you'll have to deal with a nation that is hungry. And how are you going to be dealing with that? So I'm saying to you, my home, and the rest of Africa, use your own systems on how you deal with this, and reduce cell phones. I find that because of I'm checking everything, what's happening around me. It's so important. I have this mobile phone of mine. Sometimes I check news, and what I have realized recently is that whenever I'm using this phone, I get headaches, massive headaches that I have never had before. And I'm wondering, whenever I touch this phone, within 5 minutes in my hands, I start having these headaches, really, really massive headaches. These are my experiences. This is what I'm experiencing. And that's why I get angry with South Africa, because I've got lots of questions. As I'm talking to you right now, I get dizzy. There's this dizziness. Because I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't go anywhere. I'm always in my home. And when I go to shops, I've got my gloves, I've got my things, and I stay away from people, and I make sure that I'm always away from people. So I'm playing by the rules. But even if you play by the rules, somewhere, somehow, there's some things that are happening that you can never explain. So South Africa, invoke our ancestral ways of looking after ourselves. Soldiers, you have killed their souls. Soldiers and cops are dead puppets that are working with no soul or energy whatsoever. What they know is to enforce what their boss tells them. That's not the way to deal with people who are vulnerable. If South Africans are vulnerable because of coronavirus, you would send them people who are equipped in dealing with their emotions, dealing with their anxieties, dealing with their fears, and introducing them slowly and slowly into a new way of living instead of enforcing new way of living. And you know, Africans, we will never take any enforcement whatsoever. And because of that, we always become victims. So, Cyril Ramaphosa, do not victimize your people by doing the leadership of the world instead of leadership of South Africa. So this is Carol saying, I'm confused. As you can hear, I'm speaking from a very, very vulnerable state of mind, not knowing what's next, what's going to happen next. As I'm speaking to you right now, I'm struggling with this air thing that is happening around me. So love you all, and I hope we all find way to survive this thing together by sharing our stories daily. If you have your mobile phone, speak about what's going on in your life around these closed doors. Share with the world. Somebody might take your story and really start realizing that there's something bigger than this. Somebody said sometimes people just fall off. They're just standing there and suddenly they fall, they die. And what kind of disease is this? What kind of flu is this? And at this present moment, yesterday I felt like that, and I had to run quickly in taking my garlic and put it around the tissue and rub it around my nose and rub it around my mouth, especially my mouth. I take lots of oil and I put lots of, because then you get dry, your lips, everything gets dry. But then at the end of the day, they say that there's a dryness in the air. But then the story is that your lungs suddenly develop pneumonia. You ask yourself, when it's dry, when the air is dry, because pneumonia comes from the wetness. This is what I know. You get pneumonia if you're surrounded by water, if your body has lots of fluid, and then a pneumonia gets you. How does corona, dry as it is, suddenly up into, these are the studies that I'm still doing. So equipped yourself, South Africa. I want to see Inyanga. I want to see Amasangoma. I want to see our leaders in health dealing with this. So thank you. This is Carol. I'm going to go now and do my ritual, because suddenly the air gets thinner and thinner and thinner. God bless. Carol Matebula. Hard times we are in.